think you're successful?
Yeah, I'm fulfilled with the results, with everything, with the experience, with all the lessons that you learn through the years. And of course, when you win a few Grand Slams, it means that you're able to do everything at the highest level.
Right.
You know, to like believing in yourself, putting the hard work, finding ways to win, because it's not easy to be at the high level for 2 weeks to win a slam. It's amazing what these guys are doing now and winning so many slams in singles. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I call myself I can call myself successful.
Good. You see, when you answer that question, actually, you talked about all of the good things that a player should do in order to actually get the result, right? You didn't really answer, yeah, I'm successful, I have a lot of money, I've won all these titles. It's very hard when you were a kid, for example. I want you to combine both definitions. Like, what do you define success now?
It's two different stories. It's two different stories.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
When you're a kid, you dream of winning titles, making money, living the glamorous life, being famous. You know, a lot of stuff that you realize later on when you achieve them that they're not that important. You know, I mean, you fought hard for them and you practiced hard. You went through a lot of stuff to get them. So, you know, it's fair. I feel like it's fair for the work that you put in to get them. But when you get to this level, I think the difference is, you know, focusing on improving, getting better, focusing on the process, learning, never stop, you know, growing as a player, finding ways to do it with a partner. You know, when you're in a doubles team and things don't go well, it's very easy to start looking somewhere else, you know, to blame the partner. But by sticking together, you learn to, you know, to get through the tough times and not only look at yourself, like trying to help your partner. Sometimes it's you help your partner more, so you're not focusing on yourself. You help your partner, and he helps you, and together you grow and you're a stronger team. And in those tough moments, you know, you have somebody next to you that's got your back, and that's when you win big matches.
When did you realize I might have some potential to do this? Or like, who helped you realize this? Was it you were winning? Was it you were being praised so much? Or like your coach or your parents told you, like, listen, I think you can do this, because they might have recognized something? What do you think happened? Or was it you as a player that you were just like, I think I can?
No, as a player, I mean, until I was 14, I didn't really know what was going on. I was just playing, and I remember now that I was decent, because in some tournaments, under 12 and under 14, I was winning some. Not all the time. I wasn't an exceptional player, but I was ranked top 10, top 20 in Europe at that age.
That's good.
And at 14, when I became European champion in doubles.
Doubles.
Yes, doubles. So yeah, that's where it started.
You didn't do so bad in singles. You were about 300. Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But you recognized where you were good at.
Yeah, and it's when you're a kid and you play those tournaments. When you become European champion, then you get kind of like a scholarship to go in the States to play the Orange Bowl and all those, and so you go from one to the next, like. So if you're in there, if you're in that group, you keep playing, because you kind of realize that, you know, you're there in the top.
Right.
And of course, parents starts getting, you know, involved and try to push you a little more to play, to be disciplined, and they help you with organizing the stuff around you.
So now that you say that, so your family from the start was involved, or kind of when they saw that you could do it, they got in there?
My family, I was lucky that my dad played basketball, so he understands sports.
Which is something that was big. I think it was
Yeah.
probably big in your career.
Yeah,
Or
and
in your development, sorry.
he took me to tennis just because when I was 7, he just wanted his kids to play tennis. My brother and I have an older brother, and he almost never showed up at practices, you know. And I know.
Did you like that?
I like that because he wasn't one of those parents that are there, you know, next to the fence on every practice, putting pressure on you, not having a life outside, you know.
Right. Their life are you.
Yeah, you know, I met a lot of parents that are doing that, and they say, no, but I don't say anything. I don't say anything bad to my kid. Just your presence there. Just your presence there every day is putting pressure. You don't have to say anything.
On the player, right.
Yeah. But you know.
So your dad
my dad kept distance, but both my dad and my mom, they made sure everything around the tennis is going well. So that I rest well, I eat well, that I keep going to school, and I'm up to date with all exams and everything. That's important because. At that age, you don't know what's going to happen. If you're a kid and you're 14, 15, or 13, and you say you don't have time for sports or for school, it means you're doing something else. Like
right.
you have time to do both. It just takes more effort, but you do have time. But for myself, and I would say for my kids or the kids of my friends, I would always encourage them to go to school, you know, and be in a group of people and socialize and, you know, get better at other sports. Like
it helps. It helps with tennis too.
I would encourage that. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So growing up and doing everything, like you said, in school and doing tennis, like you said, if you say you don't have time, you probably are doing something wrong, or you're just not putting the effort in. How hard was it for you to combine, though, adding the fact that you're growing up and you're a kid and you're developing also emotionally and you have the social life?
The social life was around tennis. My friends were tennis players. I made a lot of friends, international. And that's a great thing, you know. Like I'm friends with guys for 20 years. Imagine that, you know. And I know guys in France, in Italy, in Great Britain. So we have longer relationships, you know. Like so, you know, I don't feel I gave up on anything back home. You know, it's something I chose to do.
So basically, what you're saying is it helped you for your tennis that your friends were doing the same as you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, when I was still living in Romania and not traveling so much, my friends were there, my classmates and family. But then that slowly changes, and the friends that you have on the tour, they become your friends.
Right.
It's just a transition, you know, like you don't see your friends from home that much because you travel, but then you have your friends that play tennis. And, you know, at that age, it's very friendly, let's say that, because
it's not as competitive yet.
It's not as competitive yet, but you develop good friendships.
And going back to Romania now, when did you ever leave to train? Did you ever make sacrifices with your family, or did you stay in Romania?
No, when I was 14, playing at Orange Bowl and doing well, I was scouted by a management company, and
Here, right?
yes, and next year when I was 15, I moved to Bradenton to attend the IMG Bollettieri Academy. And that was a big move because I had to leave from home by myself at 15. Yes, but my parents were encouraging me because it was like an opportunity that not many people had. Not many players from Romania had this opportunity to go and train, everything covered at the Disneyland of tennis. You know, when I went there the first time and I experienced what they had there, you know, the fitness program, the tennis
Right.
program, the mental program. Like, there was a whole university for tennis there. So I was like, I want to stay here. Yeah.
So you would say you got pretty lucky there at 15, how you got scouted and you were given the opportunity to do this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was, at that point, I was one of the top juniors, top 14-year-olds.
Was
So-
it worth it for you to leave home and be here? Did you ever feel anything from your parents, like they were sad or they put pressure on you, or
No.
it was just
No, I know.
go do your dream?
They understood that it's an opportunity for me. Even if they missed me, I missed them. But I was there doing what I liked, you know, and I was doing a lot of it. So we're playing a lot of tennis in a good group with good coaches and you know, professional players around. So you got to see Tommy Haas practicing, Serena practicing there, and sometimes hitting with them. So I was in that zone already. You know, I wasn't thinking too much of what's happening back home. And I was still keeping in touch with my family. They were coming down to visit me. And but looking back, it was you know, you always have to consider everything and make the best decision at that point. And
Which is what you did.
and yeah, that's what we did all the time in my career. You know.
Yeah, and that's a big point that you're making, because making the right decision in that time with whatever you have on the table, it's sometimes very hard for parents and coaches, especially for parents and families, because sometimes the right decision is you have to leave your kid to go to Florida, right? So, for example,
Yeah.
your parents, when they came to visit you, how were they? How were their attitudes? Were they, you know, oh, let's see how my kid's doing, everything's fine, I'm happy for you? Were they pressuring you? Is he getting better? He's away from home, like this
No,
must
was
be for something.
was more. They were concerned that like my life there is
Like
going
you're
well. Yeah, that I'm getting good food, good rest, and nice surroundings with nice people. You know, that I can learn from. That was their concern.
They weren't too worried about your forehand.
No. They left that to the coaches. Yeah, it wasn't their responsibility.
Which is good. So in general, obviously, if your family didn't believe in you, you probably wouldn't have done what you've done until right now, which is
Yep.
amazing, right? And this is the support that I think every tennis player should have. It's not easy, right? Because it comes with a lot. And I think parents, that you were lucky that you had a dad that understood sports. I think that's a nice way to take life, and you understand why you're doing things. But what would be your advice for, let's say, families that don't have that parent or those parents that know sports or that come from sports?
To look at the career of their kid as an education, you know, like to try to if he plays tennis, like try to do it in a good environment, that he's happy, he's learning from good professionals, and to not put pressure, you know, to have patience and not put pressure, and to believe. They need to. The kid needs to have at least one person in his life that madly believes in him. You know,
That's so good.
if it's a father, a mother, a grandparent, or a
Brother or sister.
yeah, or you know, an uncle or a coach or mentor, whatever, but needs at least one person that will be there with the good advice in the tough moments. If there's no such person, then things are tough.
Yeah, because a rough world out there on the court, isn't it? So in terms of, because when you talk, it's very nice to hear that you're in touch of the real things, which is don't send your kid just to get a better forehand or get a better backhand or get a better serve. I mean, yeah, that comes with everything, but you touch upon something like education and something like patience and something that not many get, because it's like time is passing,
Yeah.
and time's ticking, and I'm spending money maybe, but it's just so big. And you know, I thank you that you said that, because that's so true. So
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah, no.
but they need to see it as an investment in their kids' education, not in their forehand or serve, or just as an education. Is that the right coach for my kids to make him grow and, and believe in himself and have fair play and be able to work in a team, all the positive things. They need to look at that before they choose where they send their kid.
Yeah, that's smart. And in terms of, I always think about this question, and it's when you see a player playing and you see them competing, it's like when they're developing, would you, if you were a coach, let's say, would you develop the player first or the person first?
I think the person first, and the player comes along. But if the player doesn't have confidence, if the player doesn't have patience and doesn't have respect for the coach or for the opponent or for tennis, for sports, then you have a tough job. At the end of the day, we're people before we're tennis players, athletes. So we need to take care of that first, and then the rest.
Nice. Were you growing up driven by anything else than the love for the sport?
I enjoyed a lot playing tennis. I was not enjoying so much the physical work or I loved playing. I could play singles, doubles, mixed doubles, anything. You can't take me off the court. But I got motivation from the financial part, from being famous. I was looking at these things as a motivation. Like, come on, I need to work hard and get there and play at Wimbledon and make money and buy, I don't know, a house, a car, or whatever.
You literally thought about this.
Yeah, like you were thinking of that. When you're in the gym there and you have to do another 10 intervals, like you have to visualize a lot of things to push yourself as a kid, and then slowly things change, and you're more mature and you're on that you're on the same treadmill, but then you get motivation from visualizing you're in a fifth set of Wimbledon final, and then you need to push yourself.
Which you were.
Yeah.
5-4.
Yeah.
Bruce was serving.
Yeah, you need to push yourself another 2 intervals to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. And talking about listening to your coaches, do you think you, for example, when you went to Bradenton or when you actually started working more as a professional, and it's crazy to think that actually happened when you were 15, but it actually happens now earlier. But would you say that you had something in you just by who you were, or maybe your parenting, that you listened just a little better than?
Yes, I always respected my coach, and I got from my education from back home, from the family. I always had great respect for the coaches, for the people I worked with, for the sport, for opponents, for everyone.
For opponents.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, it's competitive, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to be a better player. He's trying to be a better player. If he's a better player today, he's showing me what I have to work on more. It's the only way you can find out what you need to work on more. If you play these matches, and sometimes it sucks when you lose. But sometimes you need those losses to get back on the tennis court, and you know what you need to work on more. And sometimes it happens to lose the same way 3, 4, 5 times until you learn, or you improve some shots that brought you down in that loss. But you get up and you keep working.
Yeah. So there's so many. What you're talking about now, there's so many parents that don't respect opponents, and they don't respect opponents, like parent opponents, and they don't respect opponents of their kids. And we go back again, right? How important and how big it is to first be people and then be players or parents of players. And it makes me so happy to hear that somebody like you that has had such a hard ground, I think, of development, it came more, in Romania, because Romania was what got you to Bradenton, which, right? So it's big. So take us a little bit also, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book, for children.
For children?
Yeah, last year this time.
Did you actually write it?
I wrote it, yeah. I wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I had...
Where did this come from? Why?
Because I was talking to my friends that are my age, but they're now coaching back in Romania. Mm-hmm. And they always come back to me with issues they have they're dealing with their kids. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, this is when I was that age, this is what happened, and this is what I did, and my parents did, and my coach did, and this is what I told them, and I wish it was like I had all this habit of writing things down. Mm-hmm. So I had notebooks from when I was 12, 14, 18, notebooks with tournaments and coaches and experiences, and of course at 12 I was writing, today I didn't play good, I lost, like those kind of things. But there were also a lot.
Expressive. You're a very expressive guy.
There was also a lot of useful information, and then I took.
That's so amazing! Wow. Did you actually Did you use them? Did you write stuff in the book from your journals?
Yes, some stuff, yeah, but not that stuff. I didn't use that phrase, but there's a lot of experiences that I went through with a lot of stuff that we're talking about here. Dealing with.
It's a book for little kids, right? Like it's kind of like cartoony and.
Yes, it's a book. It's a book for, let's say, like 7 to 14.
Okay. More directed at kids or coaches?
Yeah, coaches and parents indirectly, because they're the ones that have to educate the kid. And of course the kid is reading that, and he's reading my story and how I gone through things, but it's important that the parents and the coaches and the professor at school, that if they get something out of it and they use it for the kid, then that's a win situation.
Yeah, I mean, me as a coach, the way I see it, it's like so many times I think my job, and even if whenever I'm going to be a parent, my job, I cannot let this player or this kid be wiser than me. There's no way. Anyway, so I have here I know that you guys as pros, you look a lot of stats and the stats of the game, and to me it's very interesting because I do know them, but growing up, right, you're not really talked about these things. You kind of like talk about it later, like when you're already good, and then you're like, okay, we can track these things. So, but parents, sometimes I hear them, and I was at this place the other day, and I actually was sitting down and I'm listening, and obviously I'm just like looking forward, but I'm hearing this dad, he actually had a very smart question that I thought was nice to hear, right? But I could answer it, but it would be nice if you did. So listen to this. So he said something along these lines. He said, knowing tennis stats, right, and how it is a game of errors, not perfection, but yet is very precise, and there's so many small differences that make win or lose, right? He says, what would you, how can you tell and teach kids that it's okay to lose a lot of points, but you might end up actually winning, and how the stats can be so confusing at times?
Well, yeah, I think you have to use the knowledge that you have, the stats, you have to use them when you play. But he's right. Tennis is not a game of perfection. You know what's perfection would be? Because I see a lot of kids that get pissed. They make 9 forehands in a row and they miss the 10th one and they get pissed. But if you ask for perfection, that means that you have to do everything perfect, right? So you have to get set for the ball, right acceleration, the concentration has to be there, visualize, like, everything has to be perfect.
Before that day,
Yeah.
before competition.
Yeah. So can you say as a player, as a parent, as a coach, that you did everything perfect? Because I'm a professional and I can't say that I'm doing everything perfect. I can still do this better or move better or focus better. So it's always, I'm missing, and it's fine. I just need to get better and do it better and do it better and do it better. It's okay to make mistakes and make errors.
It's just so interesting that it's very hard to let kids know at those tricky ages it's okay to miss. It is such a thing that they don't understand it. It's like they miss and they get annoyed. And it's like you then talk about, oh, look how professionals they behave. They behave so professionally and they're so calm and this. But it really is not because you're like, I'm going to decide I'm going to be calm today. No, it's because you understand the stats. You understand that I might miss today my forehand.
But if you start talking about winning or losing with a kid, as a parent or as a coach, then of course he's gonna not wanna miss, And then you should focus more on developing a good forehand.
Growing up for you, did you do that? Like, were you the type of kid that like what were the coaching philosophies that really stuck with you?
I didn't have that understanding because I didn't have a coach or a parent that understood that when I was a kid. So there was still focus on results. You try to be the number one in your city and then number one in your country and so on. But
But is that something that you would have changed growing up? Like, now that let's focus on the process. Maybe actually that would have taken me higher. Like, I would have maybe done, I don't know.
I don't think about that. It's just that my luck and the experience where I've learned from most is going from Romania at 15 to United States to Bollettieri, where I was first introduced to mental coaching. It's not psychiatrist. You're not crazy. It's just a training, like you train for tennis or you train for fitness. You train for your mental. You need to work on your mind. And it's the first time I was doing that.
Tell me a percentage you think this is for players, like at your level.
It's big. I would say, I don't know.
It doesn't have a...
50%.
Right.
50% is maybe 40% physical and 10% technique.
Right. Yeah. It's so big.
Yeah.
And I think coaches need to coach this more.
Yes.
They need to coach this more. It's not really go to a sports psychologist and now you have a problem. No, let's actually coach before you have a player that...
I think it's a coach responsibility to know that. And there's, training courses for coaches on mental coaching, on physical training.
Right.
As a coach, you need, just as you ask for your player to keep growing, as a coach, you need to keep growing and improve. Because if you don't improve, then your player is going to get to a level where there's nothing more to teach him, and he's stuck, and he's either you're gonna be stuck together, or he's gonna go and look for the coach that has that. Right. And it's not about being loyal or not loyal. It's about player that wants more that you can give him. So you need to, as a coach, you need to work on yourself and grow as well.
For sure. I once heard something from a coach from Spain that you can't ask your player to give you apples if you give him orange, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so big because it literally summarizes everything you just said right now. And I think it's huge for coaches to take a responsibility for being better, not just throw tennis balls. And for you to say that, that's great. Okay, so 2 bonus questions, and
That you just came up with them now
yes,
on the spot.
they're here. They're not even here. They're here. No. Do you have a favorite quote or like a motto that you live your life for?
I want to say a quote. It's just that I try every day to get better. Every day, we get better on. That's what we practice. You know, physical,
That's
mind,
cliche, but
tennis.
like, do you really do it?
Yeah,
That's you do it.
When I don't do it, that's when I'm disappointed with myself. But
Do you do like a self-reflection every day, every night? Like, how did I train today? What did I do? Did I get better? Like,
yeah,
do you,
yeah, I do it. I write things down.
like that kid when you were 12?
Yeah,
I love
just
it.
like that.
I love it. But a little bit more expressive
Yeah,
than I lost.
I use more words. Yeah.
I hope so. You're a writer now. So, and to finish, what would be an advice that you would give 15-year-old Horia when he went to Bradenton?
Enjoy, work hard, and have patience. That's the key.
Patience.
Yeah, to enjoy, like you need to keep that passion, you know, and work hard. Use the knowledge of the people around you, because there's coaches around, there's fitness coaches around. There's always professionals that are willing to answer questions. So you need to ask a lot of questions. You need to be a very curious kid.
It's funny you ask that, because kids that age are so afraid now of saying anything, of asking anything, because they think it's not cool.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They need to ask more questions. I wasn't asking enough questions. You know, I was always thinking that I'm okay. You know, things are good. I'm one of the top players.
Questions, you mean
Like to go to my coaches and ask them questions. Why am I doing this drill? How can I?
like, what is this for?
Yeah. How can I get even more acceleration on my forehand, or more first serves in, or you know, like I want to hit slice or drop shots. Like just a lot of questions, because coaches are there to help you out, and but if you don't ask, then you won't.
And you gotta
get,
push coaches.
Yeah,
You gotta push them.
yeah. Then you won't get responses if you don't ask questions.
Yeah.
And then you need to have patience, of course, because things don't happen overnight. For some players, happen in 1 year, in 5, in 10, but it will happen if you're doing the right things. It will.
Yeah, you touch upon that, and there's definitely a lack of patience. They want like this instant gratification nowadays, and that's where the social media and the trying to fill this social image now puts pressure, right? Because it's like it has to be now. Because my teammate or my classmate or whoever was showing me that he won a tournament in this, so it's nice.
They need to. They need to. The whole. When I said they, I mean the whole team, the whole entourage. Yeah, they need to believe more. You know, like if you don't believe that your kid will play good in, I don't know, and will do well in a few months or years, if you don't believe that and you need to see it now, then it means you don't believe enough. You know, like you don't have.
And we're all different. We all
Yeah.
have a different path, and this is one of the reasons I started this, is because parents and coaches don't truly sometimes understand that you had a different path than anybody around you. And I think it comes and goes, and it comes and goes in waves, and like you said, you have to keep believing in order for it to maybe come something.
Yeah, and stop comparing your kid to the other kid, you know, because they're different. They will develop different. If I compare myself to, or if I was comparing myself to Andy Murray, who that's, you know, my age, and Gasquet and all, like these guys, Tsonga, Monfils, and these guys that are my age, and if I was comparing myself to them like a few years ago, I would stop playing tennis. You know, I'd be like, these guys are so good, and I'm nowhere. and I would stop playing. But
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And you persevered, and you're now.
and also the other way around.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself to someone that maybe you're beating someone and you're happy because you beat Thomas,
Right.
but Thomas maybe does want to play
We're not
tennis
talking
or
about Burdage.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Burdage.
no, and you don't need to
Yeah.
put yourself up now because you know you beat the other kid. You know,
Day by
it's
day.
yeah.
All right, that's so great. I love it. Thank you, Horia.
Thank
Go
you.
get your massage.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Really, really. I truly do. After the day that you had, and now you're here, that's awesome.
It's
Are
nothing.
you gonna
Man.
have dinner or?
Yes, after my massage. I need my massage so I can walk tomorrow.